Right now, somewhere in the world, a woman is about to give birth inside a hospital, surrounded by monitors tracking her heartbeat and her baby's heartbeat at the same time, with a doctor on standby and an entire medical team one hallway away if anything goes wrong. And she probably won't even think about how strange it is that this level of safety exists, because for her, it's just normal. But for more than 99% of human history, none of that existed. No hospital, no monitors, no doctor, no epidural. Just a woman, a fire, and a handful of other women who had done this before. And somehow, against odds that sound almost impossible today, the human species survived every single time this happened, for hundreds of thousands of years in a row, which raises a question most of us never actually stop to ask. How did that even work? Picture a small settlement, maybe 15,000 years ago, and a woman goes into labor with no calendar counting down to a due date and no ultrasound that told her weeks in advance which way the baby was facing. And yet she knows, because her body tells her, the same way it's told women for tens of thousands of years before her. And she doesn't go through this alone in a private room, because in almost every ancient culture we have evidence for, birth was never a solo event. It was something other women did together. Mothers and sisters and older women who had personally done this dozens of times both for themselves and for everyone around them, and that hands-on experience mattered more than you'd probably expect. Because almost every ancient society had some version of what we'd now call a midwife, a woman recognized specifically for her skill at helping deliver babies, not because she'd read a textbook, since most ancient cultures didn't even have a writing system yet, but because she had personally witnessed birth so many times that she'd built a working knowledge of what usually goes right and what usually goes wrong, and these women could feel the position of a baby through the mother's belly, using nothing but touch. They knew which plants could ease pain or speed up a slow labor, and they even knew how to physically turn a baby that was positioned the wrong way. A technique some doctors still use today called an external version, except ancient midwives were doing it purely by feel, with no ultrasound guiding their hands at all. And none of this knowledge was ever written down, it simply lived in memory, passed from one woman to the next, quietly refined generation after generation. Here's something that might genuinely surprise you though. Lying flat on your back, which is the position most of us picture when we think of childbirth, is actually one of the worst positions for labor, and ancient women almost never used it, because instead, across nearly every ancient culture, women gave birth upright, squatting or kneeling or sometimes even standing while holding onto a rope or a tree branch or another woman's shoulders, letting gravity do real work while an upright position opened the pelvis wider and made the entire process genuinely easier. And some cultures even built specific birthing stools, carved wooden or stone seats with an opening cut into the center for exactly this purpose. And archaeologists have found versions of these stools in ancient Mesopotamia, in ancient Egypt, and across the Americas, in civilizations that never had any contact with one another. Which tells you something, because when completely unconnected societies independently arrive at the exact same solution, it's usually because that solution actually works. But it's worth being honest here, because childbirth wasn't just difficult, it was genuinely dangerous, and estimates from anthropological and historical records suggest maternal mortality in ancient and pre-industrial societies could run anywhere from 1 in 20 births to as high as 1 in 8, depending on the population, with infant mortality running even higher than that. And this is actually one of the biggest reasons ancient life expectancy numbers look so low in the first place, not because most adults were dying young, but because so many people didn't survive infancy or the birth process itself, and complications like breech positioning or prolonged labor or heavy bleeding had no surgical fallback whatsoever. So a midwife's skill could help enormously, but there was always a hard ceiling on what human hands alone could actually fix, which is exactly why having experienced women present wasn't some kind of comforting tradition. In many real and well-documented cases, it was the literal difference between a mother surviving and not. And birth almost never happened in true isolation either, because across cultures from indigenous communities in the Americas to ancient African societies to early European tribes, childbirth was treated as a shared communal event rather than a private medical procedure, with some cultures building entirely separate birthing huts used only for this one purpose. sometimes tied to spiritual beliefs about protection or purification. While other cultures use chanting or specific rhythmic songs believed to calm the mother and ease her pain, and there's actually a reasonable physiological basis for some of this, because rhythmic sound and movement genuinely can help regulate breathing and reduce how pain is perceived, which is essentially the same principle modern birthing classes still teach today, just wrapped in completely different language. There were no epidurals, obviously, but ancient women weren't left with absolutely nothing either, because certain plants were used across multiple unconnected cultures specifically for their pain-relieving properties, willow bark being one clear example, which contains a compound chemically related to modern aspirin. And other cultures relied on specific massage techniques applying pressure to certain points on the lower back and hips, a practice that echoes almost exactly what modern doulas still recommend today. And none of this knowledge was scientific in the way we define that word now, but it was deeply empirical, built entirely on generations of trial, observation, and repetition, and a surprising amount of it actually held up. And survival didn't end the moment the baby arrived either, because the days immediately afterward were treated with just as much seriousness, sometimes even more, with many cultures enforcing a mandatory recovery period where the new mother was cared for entirely by other women and excused from all labor and daily duties for days or sometimes even weeks. And this wasn't just an act of kindness, it was a genuine survival strategy, because postpartum infection and blood loss were among the leading causes of maternal death, and rest, cleanliness, and close monitoring during those first critical days measurably reduced that risk. So no monitors, no surgical backup, no guarantee that either mother or child would make it through, and yet generation after generation, humans figured out how to make this work, not through medicine in the way we understand it today, but through something almost as powerful, which was accumulated knowledge passed hand to hand, careful observation repeated endlessly, and women who simply showed up for each other again and again for tens of thousands of years straight. And it's easy to take modern childbirth safety completely for granted, sitting here in a world with monitors and doctors and epidurals on standby. But every bit of that safety was built, quite literally, on the shoulders of every woman who came before, and every woman who stood beside her, exactly when it mattered most.